I think you're trying to chuck me out of this. She's like, I don't need Hayley for this. I'm going to chuck her out. I'm going to do it on my own.
I do need Hayley for this because without Hayley, I wouldn't have a platform because she does the Riverside stuff.
Are you hearing this, people? Are you hearing this? Why have enemies when you can have best friends? Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fineish Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something that I believe far too many of us live with without really talking about it. That is the Sunday Scaries. It's those feelings on a Sunday afternoon after you've had a really great day. It's the feelings of fear and dread of the workday that follows. Now, I understand, Abi, that you've been having some Sunday Scaries more recently. Tell me about that.
I have. And I mean, it's not something that I haven't ever experienced before. I think it's quite common in a lot of jobs. But I was just sat here thinking, and I was like, you know how someone will always say, what's your phobia or what's your fear? What are you scared of? And people will be like spiders, heights, elevators, all of those things. I sit here and I think Sunday evening, if I'm honest with you. And
Jesus
it's so weird, isn't it? Because like sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. And it just takes you by surprise. And it seems to be something that a lot of the population are familiar with. I reckon, especially millennials, not to like target you guys, but we are snowflakes, aren't we? I imagine they hear Sunday Scaries and they go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about every Sunday without fail. And it wipes out half your weekend, doesn't it?
If you look back, Abi, at our episodes so far, I'm kind of taking us back to the one where we talked about toxic work environments and we talked about anxiety there. And we asked the question around, is my workplace toxic or am I an anxious mess? Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Right. And we talked a lot about anxiety. And I'm sure that we mentioned the Sunday Scaries back then, which is interesting because I don't recall either of us saying that we were experiencing it to a kind of detrimental level back when we recorded that episode. Whereas prior to starting the episode today, we've both just admitted to each other that we've been having these feelings. So I'm curious what's changed. I know one common factor that has changed.
Okay.
Come on. What are we doing right now?
Yeah, I think because we've had a taste of actually putting time and energy into something that actually brings us joy, that we enjoy doing, aka the podcast, everybody that's listening, I think it's then made us realize actually what I am doing maybe isn't my passion. And actually, it's been really nice to just do some work with my best mate, talk for Britain, which is, something we both like doing. And we've had a taste for it. And we've gone, oh, yeah, I want more of that. And I want to earn money doing that. And I want to take us around the world and see beautiful places and talk to other people. And then we go, oh, actually, no, I've still got to get up for my 8:30 alarm and go and do this other thing that I've actually worked really hard for to go and do. And it's almost like you take one mask off, put another mask on or hat, whatever you call them. And it's like, oh, no, it doesn't quite hit the same, does it?
Yeah, I mean, that's just one theory that I can come up with very quickly because I find it fascinating that literally when we started recording, we were both like, do you know what? We feel really grateful that we've got jobs that we enjoy and we studied hard. And look, guys, go on, you can find a workplace that really values you and you'll be happy doing that job. Meanwhile, here we are we're getting the Sunday Scaries every week. So I don't know whether it's actually our jobs or is it, as you've just said, this taste for something else that we've had. And that's having an impact on the way that we're perceiving our workplace now. I don't know. Like, is there something else going on or?
I don't know. I mean, I love my job. To anybody listening, I genuinely really do love my job. I wouldn't have worked as hard as I have. Likewise with Hayley, we wouldn't have worked as hard as we have to have the careers that we have if we weren't passionate about it, if we didn't want to do it. And it's such a wonderful job that we both do, so rewarding. I think ultimately it gets to the point where, especially as you get a bit older, you start to realize the things that you want in life. And suddenly you realize, oh my God, I've got until retirement doing something that takes up so much of my time when I actually could be doing all these other things that bring me joy. And I think realistically, if nobody needed to work, if you didn't need to afford to live or anything like that, then no one would work. I don't think they would, or they would, but they would actually be doing something that they really care about. So like if you see people nowadays who are volunteers, they go out and do what they do. They're not earning any money from it, but they do it because they love it so much, so fucking much. Whereas with a lot of us, most of the population, we have to work. because we need to have a roof over our head. We need food on our table. We need to pay our bills. We need to do all sorts of fun stuff. So we have to work. And whenever you're forced to do something, immediately you've got a barrier there to enjoying it completely. And then I think the Sunday Scaries, they can be different for each person. I think somebody could maybe be dreading their job because they hate it, which is like what Hayley and I experienced in one of our horrible jobs. You get some people, maybe they know that they left a really stressful job on a Friday evening and they thought, well, that's future me's problem on a Monday. And then future you starts to come into place and you go, oh, shit, thanks, past me. And you know that you've got a lot of stress coming your way in the morning. And you've probably got some people that don't get on with their co-workers, and so they dread seeing them on Monday. Maybe they've got a deadline that's coming up in the week, and so they're dreading the Monday. You get some people that really do love their jobs, but maybe they just, I don't know, it's just an odd week where they just suddenly get the Sunday Scaries. I think there's a lot of different reasons. What do you think your reasons are for your Sunday Scaries? And also, what do your Sunday Scaries feel like, Hayley?
So I agree with you. I really do claim to love my job. I'm saying that because I like to think that I love my job, but I sometimes do question whether that's something I'm just saying because I feel like I have to, and I know that I'm in a really privileged position, and a lot of people would do a lot of stuff to be in the position that I'm in, and I don't want to come across as ungrateful. So I do feel like I love my job. The anxieties and the Sunday scaries that I get are, I think, because I know that my body has got to go back into what I might describe as survival mode during my working hours, because at the moment for me, work is extremely intense. I don't want to go into masses of detail, but essentially I have a job that is emotionally intense anyway because of the nature of the work that I do. And then on top of that, I am line managing and clinically supervising more people than I probably should be at the moment. Not like an illegal level or anything like that, just in terms of like managing my own well-being level. And alongside that, I'm still trying to do my day-to-day normal tasks. So I'm essentially trying to squeeze in a lot into my 4-day working week. And it just becomes really, really heavy. So during the weekend, I'm probably that person. I'm the Friday person who goes, that's a future me problem. Right? Because I'm very good at switching off. I'm very good at being boundaried. I'm very good at closing my laptop and not thinking about work outside of working hours. I don't check my phone, my emails, like absolutely not.
That's good. That's good going.
Yeah, I'm really, really boundaried. And that's something that I think the people that I line manage love about me, because I teach them really clearly about boundaries and I'm very respectful of those. I would never expect anybody to answer me outside of their working hours. So what that means though is that when you have got an awful lot on your plate at work, when you are good at being boundaried, it does mean that when you then come back into work on a Monday, you are faced with an awful lot of emails and expectations. I also don't work Fridays for the particular company that I work for. So I have that added day where everyone else is in work and I'm not. So of course, by the time I come back, there is an awful lot there waiting for me. And in my line of work, it is often problem after problem after problem. That's the nature of the work that I do. And my job is to try and find solutions and to be supportive and to be helpful and to be emotionally containing. And that's quite heavy. So yeah, I think for me, the Sunday scaries are knowing what's coming and feeling like I have to mentally prepare myself for the week to come. And a lot of that will be joyful and a lot of it will be lovely. And I do have lots of really wonderful moments at work. That doesn't mean that it's not really stressful at times. And I just want to like lie in a dark room most evenings and just decompose, as my son would say, like, instead of decompress. We talk about just decomposing after a really, really long day at work. That's what I do most evenings, just decompose.
Makes me think of people who just kind of like lay on the sofa and then they start rotting. I think that's like the same idea, isn't it? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Just decompose after work, literally, and be rotting on the sofa.
But funny story though about where that came from. My eldest did not know that the word is actually decompress. So he came home from college one day and was like, "Oh, Mum, I'm exhausted." This was when he just started college and it was like, longer hours. So he got home at 5:30, after a really long day, a bit like a normal working day. He was like, "Oh my God, Mum, I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm just going to go upstairs and decompose." I just looked at him and I was like, "You're going to what? You're going to what now? You're going to decompose?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to go decompose." I was like, "Do you mean decompress?" So
bless him.
It came from him not knowing that was the wrong word.
I mean, personally, I prefer that version. I think that's better. I think we should all just decompose after work. At least then we never have to worry about the Sunday scaries, because we'd all just be decomposed messes on our sofas, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Ever since that day, I use it all the time. I have shared that with the team that I manage and with family and friends, and we all think it's absolutely hilarious. So thank you to my wonderful 17-year-old for teaching us that we could use the word decompose instead of decompress.
Thank you very much. You are the new
Mhm.
Shakespeare. Look at that. But interestingly, yeah, so hearing us talk about our experience with Sunday Scaries, do you know, like I said, it's not an uncommon phenomenon. It is actually very well known that the Sunday Scaries are a thing. And just like Hayley did to me in the last episode, I've got some statistics for you this time, Hayley. So I hope you're ready for them.
She
I
was
was quite
jealous.
I was like, she sounds so smart. So I was like, I'm going to be smart in this one. I say that, I asked ChatGPT.
Yeah, look, she wants to be the comedian. Now she wants to be the smart one. I think you're trying to chuck me out of this. She's like, I don't need Hayley for this. I'm going to chuck her out. I'm going to do it on my own.
I do need Hayley for this because without Hayley, I wouldn't have a platform because she does the Riverside stuff.
Oh, I see. Right. So yeah, okay. Are you hearing this, people? Are you hearing this? Why have enemies when you can have best friends?
No, I take it all back. If I've got any hope of making it and being famous with this podcast, me and Hayley need to be doing this side by side because it's like Pinky and the Brain. Do you remember that, Hayley? That
No.
cartoon.
I mean, it's remotely.
It's like Pinky and the Brain, Pinky and the Brain. Was it one is a something, the other's insane? It's basically two mice, and one of them's got a really massive head because it's filled with a brain that's huge, and the other one's a doofus, and they basically try and find ways to take over the world. And so obviously we know who the doofus is and we know who the brain is, but it just works. It works together in harmony.
Yeah, so I expect our listeners to all completely agree with that and to never want to get rid of either of us, or to never secretly tell one of us that we should do it on our own, because
Though
we will kill you.
She will, guys. She's been well grumpy. Though there is a theory. I don't know if it's a fan theory. I don't think it's been proven, but there is a theory about Pinky and the Brain. Now, Hayley, this is not going to mean anything to you because you don't even know who Pinky and the Brain are. But for anyone listening who knows who Pinky and the Brain are, there is a theory that so they always end up failing, taking over the world, obviously. But there's a theory that when they talk about one being a doofus and one being smart, they actually think it's the other way around. So you're made to think that the big one with the big fucking head is the brainiac and is the genius. And actually, it's the doofus that's the genius. And it's just from little parts of each of the episodes that kind of give hints that's the actual way around, but it's never explicitly revealed. So that would be very interesting. If it's like me and Hayley, Hayley's the smart one and I'm the doofus. But what if it's the other way around? I don't think it is, but
I was going to try and go along with you then, but I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry.
She's just like absolutely fucking not. She's
No.
like, you bloody eating spoons, for goodness sake.
My brain is all I've got going for me. Like I don't even know how to change a light bulb, guys. Like I am an idiot in day to day. I would not survive a zombie apocalypse.
So you should just admit it, guys. She can't even change a light bulb. I am the brainiac. I'm the smart one. I'm only joking. Right, so statistics. Okay, so with the stats, what do you think the percentage is, Hayley, of people who regularly experience Sunday Scaries?
I'm going to say quite high, maybe around 65% of people.
Oh my God, 67. It's 67%. That was well good.
Who's the brainy one?
Yeah, so I mean, this is in the UK. So obviously, I could be more if you obviously looked at America and other European countries. But in the UK, it says about 67% of people regularly experience the Sunday Scaries. And it says here that it rises to around 74% among just 18 to 24-year-olds, which I find really interesting because you know what I said at the beginning about millennials being snowflakes? Actually, maybe it's not so much our generation. Actually, could it be that Sunday Scaries are getting worse and more prominent in the next load of generations? Perhaps.
I think that workplaces for young people are getting worse. And I think that the younger generations are also standing up for their rights more. And I think they're recognizing that we are massively overworked. I think that they're probably feeling it even more because workplaces are shit for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like you said, there are more pressures on on people now. And so as the newer generations are coming into things, I feel like where maybe someone who was older than us took on a particular job role, maybe someone who's the generation below us goes for the same job role. I feel like the tasks or the expectations put on them nowadays is going to be much higher just because of how demanding the jobs are. So I think you're right. I think it probably is that actually the job roles are just becoming a lot more stressful than they used to be. Like if you think about population growth, so doctors 100 years ago probably weren't as stressed as doctors nowadays because they didn't have anywhere near as many patients that they had to try and treat. And it's like with schools, isn't it? Teachers, I think even back in my day, we only had 15 kids in a class. But nowadays, like my sister is a teacher and I have friends who are teachers, and it's looking at like 35 children in a class now. And I just think that's double what it used to be, only merely 15, 20 years ago. And so you're now expecting people to be pretty much on similar wage, having the same job title, but double the stress, double the pressures. And so you can see maybe why the younger generations are probably feeling the Sunday Scaries a little bit more. I mean, ChatGPT explicitly says young adults, Gen Z and millennials consistently report higher levels of Sunday Scaries than older groups. So it checks out.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, though, around rising cost of living. A lot of young people are going to workplaces and getting paid absolutely next to nothing. If you look at the average salary now of a graduate, it's not that much more than the average salary of a graduate years ago. Yet the debt has massively increased. I don't know if you've seen, Abi, that the changes, upcoming changes to student loans are going to have a massive impact on us as well, especially those of us that took out loans, I think after 2012. Don't quote me on that, I might be incorrect.
Gosh.
So there was all of this added pressure in terms of financial stress from not getting paid enough. Then we have to pay back ridiculous amounts of interest on student loans. On top of that, workplace environments are generally shit. People don't know how to interact with each other nowadays because we live in a ridiculous social media era. I say that. Social media, thank you for letting me put my podcast reels on so that we can raise awareness of this and make lots of money. But generally, I just think it's really tough. And it doesn't surprise me at all that people just don't want to be working anymore, especially for the sheer amount of money we get paid.
Yeah, no, that is very true. And like I looked at my student finance the other day. So I imagine most people don't typically tend to look much into their student debts because you've got that age-old saying of it gets wiped after a certain amount of decades, which I think is actually true. But like I've got two undergraduate degrees that were done kind of about 8 years apart from each other. I nearly had a heart attack when I saw what my total amount owed is. And I swear to God, like in the grand scheme of things, I didn't take that much as a loan to pay my course fees for 2 degrees. But with the debt that I am in from student loans from interest only, it's basically like a whole house. That's how in debt I am from student loans, which I imagine is the majority of the population who have degrees, because the rate that the interest rates, like how much interest gets added to your thing, is not as much as we're paying each month. And the fact that so many people are in such high debt and it's continuously growing goes to show that the job that they've got from their higher education isn't paying enough. It's not paying anywhere near as much as you expected it to by putting yourself in that position in the first place. And so I kind of just sit back, I look at it and go, I'm never going to pay that. I'm never going to pay that. I don't earn enough and I'm never going to earn enough to pay any of that. I'm not even going to make a dent in it. I'm not even paying each month. I'm not even paying enough to counter the interest that's going on. So it's more people are trying to go and get better jobs, but actually it's just not working like that.
I'm not paying much off of my student debt either, Abi. I've also got a very high number. I think at the moment it lies at around £78,000 that I owe, which is more than I owed when I first started paying it back, which is ridiculous because I've been paying it off for the last however many years. Yeah, I still owe somehow more now than I did at the beginning. And I pay on a monthly basis, on average, I think it's about £300 they deduct from my salary. Yeah, it's quite a lot, right? Because of the salary I have, it just gets deducted immediately. So I'm paying, I think it's between £250 and £300 that just gets immediately taken off me. And to still owe more now than I did at the beginning is absolutely wild. And I know that it's not massively taken into consideration, for example, things like mortgages. I know that like our mortgage wasn't impacted by my student debt. It's very different to an average loan, if you like. But I definitely do sit there and think, gosh, I could just go and work full time through my limited company. So I do private work as well. And I could be paying myself a salary and taking out dividends and be paying so much less towards my student loan, for example, and I could be taking home much more money per month, working so much less, right? Working less hours. And my husband often encourages me to do that. He's like, why are you putting yourself through all of the stress, all of the pressure, doing a job that you enjoy, but it's kind of like one of those that you'd probably still quit if I won the lottery tomorrow. Yep. You've got this other option. Why don't you do that? And I do often sit there questioning, why on earth do I not do that when I have that option? And it's because ultimately I have good values and because I really do enjoy aspects of what I do on a day-to-day basis. But my God, it's not worth the stress or the money some days.
No, and it is just like this split, isn't it, through yourself of like, I genuinely really love my job and I really want to continue doing it and I want to do well with it and I want to help others. But then there's the other part that just goes, why am I doing this? Like, well, I just want to go live in a tree somewhere and just live off the land instead.
I mean, that's pushing it a little bit too far me. Not gonna lie. You go do that.
She's like, I would tolerate going to Spoons more than living in a tree.
Yeah. Also, if you do that, you need to make sure you have Wi-Fi and a camera so that we can continue doing this. Is a tree going to have that?
The next one so give it a few months and there's just going to be me in a tree and I'll be like, hi, I'm Abby. I'm live from a tree. With my potatoes that I grew in the ground. They're still dirty, but they have a good crunch. It's fine. I'd miss Spoons too much because I wouldn't be able to afford it. But okay, so in terms of like work stress then, so we've said, like tailing all the way back again, we've said that maybe one of the biggest contributing factors to Sunday Scaries is perhaps how stressful your job can be. And so actually dreading having to throw yourself back into, the war for that whole week, knowing that it's really, really stressful. And that can have a really big impact on people. Like you can suffer physically and you can suffer mentally. And so I've got some statistics for you about how many people are affected by work-related stress and how many people take time off work because of work-related stress. And so I have found here that nearly 1 million workers in the UK report suffering from work-related stress in 2024/2025, which is the leading cause of work-related ill health. There was 22.1 million working days lost in 2024/25 due to work-related stress. And it says on average, each person resulted in about 22.9 days off work, which is longer than any other type of illness. Wow. That's a lot, isn't it?
I'm just processing that. Those are big numbers.
Those are huge numbers. And if you think about workplaces losing a member of staff for 22.9 days out of the year, that's a long time. And so, but I don't think workplaces will learn from it. So they'll overwork their employees and then they have to take time off because they're overworked. Like it seems really silly, doesn't it?
It does. At the same time, I'm now seeing it from a management point of view. I think that there's often a really high demand for particular services, whether that's a public health service, like the work that you do or the work that I do, or whether that's a high demand for the kind of more commercial corporate stuff. There's often a high demand and not enough people to meet that demand. Now, in my line of work, I know that there's a really high demand and it's really hard to find people to fill the jobs, basically, to get bums on seats, essentially. To recruit is really, really challenging. So what happens in our line of work is that people end up doing more than they should because the demand is there and because there's those pressures. But I don't think it's a lack of managers or companies trying to get more people. I think if there were more people available, then the load would absolutely be spread amongst us.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably different to maybe a corporate world, which I'm not that familiar with, where they probably do exploit their workers more. So I do think there's a difference. I don't think that all employers are bad, is what I'm trying to say. I do think there is a recruitment issue and a really high demand of public services, the kind of the supportive jobs, like what we do, basically.
Yeah, and definitely. Yeah, I agree. I think my employer really looks out for its employees, definitely stresses us out, but I know that if there was any concerns, like if you had troubles with your mental health, it's a big advocate for look after yourself first so you can be fit enough to look after other people. But I know that, there are other places that wouldn't think like that. Who do you think, I mean, I know this because it's just up in front of my face right now, but do you think it's women or men who are the most likely to be affected by work-related stress and take time off work?
I'm going to say women.
Why? Just put you on the spot.
Lots of different reasons, but I think that women in general are expected to carry not just the workload of work, but also they carry the load of the house as well, typically. And that's not just for parents, by the way. I just think even in just day-to-day living, it's typically women that will go and do the food shopping. It'll be women who will try to keep on top of the house and keep it clean. It'll be women that are making arrangements, putting the plans in the diary, following up, keeping in touch with their family members and so on and so forth. So I think that probably adds on to the pressure that women feel at work, which makes it more likely for women to go off with work-related stress.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think because there's still, I mean, it's not every person, not every couple, but there's enough evidence to show that women are still the ones that take on the majority of like the household work. And so it's in our days now, like our generation now, you've got women and men are both going to work full time, whereas usually, or used to be, men go to work full time, women would stay home with the kids and look after the house. However, you've now got the exact same hours, the exact same demands being put on women in the workplace as men have, except women don't switch off. They come home and they go into caregiving mode for the kids or house cleaning mode or errands, like you said. So it never stops, never switches off. I mean, it's quite a high difference, really. It's double. It's actually double for women than it is for men. So it's around 0.44 days for men. So women lost an average of 0.91 days per year compared to 0.44 days for men. So over double, actually. And younger women are more likely to report stress-related illness rather than older women. So I think, again, it's that generation thing, isn't it? The more pressures, the more workload that's being put on younger women. No wonder women don't want to have kids. You can see it all linked up, don't you?
Yeah, I was just thinking back to the earlier episode that we did where we reflected on being parents and why people are maybe choosing to not have children. And then I've just been thinking as well about myself and how I've been feeling lately. And I've definitely been feeling it. So I've been grumpy for a little while, haven't I? And we were kind of reflecting on that a little bit before we started the episode. And actually, I'm not ashamed to say that last Monday, I opened my laptop, started work. Nothing in particular had happened. As I said, I generally enjoy what I do and I really love the people that I work with and I'm very grateful for the company that I work for. But within half an hour, I was in absolute tears. I mean, like in absolute pieces. And I just could not, I was so overwhelmed, couldn't process anything. I did not have the emotional capacity to do anything else that morning. So I just called my boss and said, look, I'm going to take the morning off. And she was very, very supportive, which I'm very proud of.
Oh, that's good.
And then my husband was kind of asking what on earth is going on. And all I could keep on saying to him was, my brain is too full. My brain is too full and I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. And he was trying to say to me, but why is your brain too full? And I was like, well, at work, it's really full. But then there's all this other stuff happening outside of work as well. And I'm trying to remember and hold on to all of these other things. And I'm a woman who is extremely well supported by a husband. We, you said it in other episodes, Abi, where in my marriage, everything's pretty much equal. You like to think that pretty much everything is equal. Even today, for example, my husband has done the shopping for us because he's been off work. And my husband takes our little one to all of his extracurricular activities because I can't make it because of my working hours. So I'm very lucky in that. But even then, I still carry all this extra stuff that he doesn't think about because he's a guy. He doesn't think about making the plans, putting things in the diary. He doesn't think about, I need to make this phone call to arrange parents' evening. And I need to go and put the washing away. And I need to do this.
Yeah.
And it just becomes too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, couldn't take it anymore. My brain was too frazzled.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. And I think so many women will just power through. I know men do exactly the same thing as well, but just for this example, like women will power through because it's almost like we're conditioned that we just need to keep it going. Everything will fall apart if we fall apart. And then you just hit a point where your brain just goes, nah, not doing it. Absolutely not doing it.
And we would call that burnout.
Mm-hmm.
We would call that burnout. And I think burnout is a bit of a word that gets thrown around like, I'm burnt out. Whereas actually burnout is real and it's absolutely horrendous and it can happen to any of us. Even if you're the most driven, passionate, determined, dedicated professional in the world, it can get you at some point in your life. And when it happens, you will know, you will just crash. And like Abby said, your body will say, that's it, no more. I'm done. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I experienced last Monday. It was temporary. I was able to log back on after midday and I was okay for the rest of the day. But it happens where you just for weeks on end just feel like you can't engage with your work tasks anymore. You just need a complete break. And it's not very nice when people don't believe you or when they think you're a snowflake. I know we laugh about that with snowflakes, but actually this is a real thing. It's not very nice.
Yeah. I think that's it. Again, it just brings in the importance as well of making sure that you are taking time off work and you're taking breaks. Because I know loads of people who don't actually like taking time off work because they're then worried about the workload piling up while they're away. So then they just choose to omit their holiday and just take it as pay instead rather than actually giving themselves the break. And I know this is something that I'm now realizing a lot more, is how important it is to just step away and have your own identity away from your job. And like Hayley, you're having your time off now for a little while, and I think that's going to do wonders for you. And then it just means that when you do come back into work and you come back into your career, you're going to feel a little bit better to be able to deal with it. And so you're going to put your best foot forward because you've prioritized yourself and what you need. That burnout has started to recover and you go back into work feeling a little bit better and be like, right, okay, I'm ready for what this week holds now. I can do this. Whereas if you don't take any breaks at all, like you don't even shut down in the evenings, you start bringing your work home with you, you're just never going to be able to keep on top of everything. And there's only so much our little noggins can handle, if I'm honest with you guys, you know, physically and mentally. So it doesn't have to just be the mental load of everything and a mental burnout. You can have a physical burnout where you just decompose on the sofa, as your son would say. And that's what will happen. That is what will happen. And so you need to make sure that you are prioritizing yourself and taking breaks. Like realistically, as much as you can have really wonderful employers, you are easily replaced. If anything happens, they would replace you in a heartbeat. So don't neglect your mental health and your physical health for your employer. You need to make sure you are allocated sick days as well. There's time there protected for you. So if you needed it, you can take it. And there is holiday days there that you need to make sure that you're using. Don't live and breathe your job. It is just not that important.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I mean, those of us that are parents can't take time off from our children necessarily. We don't get holiday days or sick days for that, Abby. We are expected just to show up every single fucking day, even if we don't want to. However, I like the sentiment there.
I mean, that was your choice, wasn't it? This is why, but again, this is why though, like I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it because I want to come home and I want to be able to switch off. And that is what people would consider the selfish part of not having kids. If I get burnt out from just my work alone, how on earth would I handle things if I was a parent and then I was burnt out? I wouldn't be able to function. Therefore, they wouldn't be looked after very well. So I think realistically, you know, everyone just has to deal with it like in their own little ways. But equally, this is why it's really important that you have a bit of a village around you, I think, as a parent. So if you like, there are people who can help out with children so you can have a break, like grandparents. And obviously not everybody's fortunate to have grandparents in their life, but just people that you trust. It's so important to have people in your life like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is where I'm going to do a little shout out and a big thank you to my brother and sister-in-law who have recently started having our youngest twice a month overnight. It's overnight. How lucky am I? And this is really wonderful because not only is it great for their relationship building with him and spending quality time together, it also means that twice a month, my husband and I get a date night. We get time off parenting, and it's just some time to properly decompose if we want to, and we can choose how we use that time. Last Friday, we went to a comedy club, which was just what the soul needed after my very grumpy, very stressful week. We just sat for a few hours, listened to ridiculous, filthy humour, laughed more than I could ever imagine, and cried. And I was home and in bed by around midnight. So that is a nice way to relax. So thank you to them.
Thank you, you guys. Yeah, thanks for me as well. Because then Hayley will be less grumpy.
Going to say, yes, that's yes, her selfish reason for saying that.
But I guess then that leads into our favourite time of the episode, where we ask Chat, or Bob, as we like to call him, for his opinions on something that we've spoken about in the episode. So what I've decided to ask Bob today is, why do Sunday Scaries happen on a Sunday? I mean, it's probably obvious for a lot of people. And actually, some people who, you know, don't have weekends off probably find that they don't have Sunday Scaries. They have they have terrifying Tuesdays. I think terrifying Tuesday, if you saved it. But just in the grand scheme of things, like, why do Sunday Scaries happen on a Sunday? Just to better understand, like, maybe the psychology behind it. So Chat has said, or Bob has said, Sunday Scaries happen on a Sunday because it's the psychological buffer zone between freedom and responsibility. It's a bit deep, Bob, if I'm honest with you. Your body is still in weekend mode, but your brain has already time traveled to Monday. That's when anticipatory anxiety kicks in. You start replaying unfinished tasks, imagining meetings, predicting awkward conversations, and mentally rehearsing the week ahead. Your nervous system reacts as if those things are happening right now. On top of that, Sunday signals the end of autonomy. The weekend represents rest, choice, and identity outside of work, and Sunday night feels like a small loss of that freedom. So basically, the weekend is like a reset to your life, and you get a little bit of a taster of what it's like to not have to work and to be able to do all of the things fulfill you. And then all of a sudden, you get slapped around the face with a wet fish on Sunday evening, and it goes, no! I'm Monday and I'm here to kick your ass. And so the anxiety kicks in. But I think that's stuff that we already knew anyway, wasn't it, about Sunday Scaries? Realistically, I would love to know, and I think actually there has been quite positive feedback, how people are getting on in some of the European countries that have been trialing a 4-day week, because I feel like I want to sign myself up for the waiting list to be on that trial.
I work 4 days a week, as you
do?
know, and I still get the Sunday Scaries. But as I've said, that's only been a more recent thing. And I do also do additional work on Fridays. I actually work a lot between my day job, podcasting, and then my private work as well. So actually, I'm just going to shut up. I work too much. Just like, take that. What I did want to ask you before we wrap things up, though, Abby, is if you didn't have to do your day job and if you were to avoid the Sunday Scaries, what do you think you would do with your free time?
I mean, it depends, because would I still be able to have money to do stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could do anything at all.
One, I would travel. I would see as much of the world as possible because it's just my goal. The fact that I am going to die having never seen everything is really sad, but also understandable because it's like impossible. So I would go and do as much as I possibly could and have some really wonderful moments with the people that I love and care about the most. I would want to learn as much as possible. So I would do courses, I would read, because I'd have all the time and the brain capacity to be able to take in new knowledge. But equally, I would then love to do, like the idea of the volunteering situation. I would love to maybe like have a cat sanctuary where it's just, it's not even that big. I mean, people can come and rehome them if they want to, but it's just a place to keep them safe, or just any animal. But I'm a very big cat lover. So maybe something like that, where I know that I'm doing it because I care rather than because I'm getting paid to do it. I think. What about you?
Quite similar to you, actually. Definitely travel. We all know that I have itchy feet. If I could be a content creator and travel the world, for example, and make money, then I'd be more than happy to do that. Actually, that's a big fat lie. I hate content creation, don't I?
I'll get a whiplash.
Sorry, I didn't think that through before I said it. If I could do the traveling without having to deal with social media, then I'd be really happy. I hate social media, so let's scrap that part. But yes, I would travel, spend time with people I love. I want to learn more languages. I would do some dog animal sanctuary work, and I'd probably go and teach English to children that live in more deprived areas in other countries. I would absolutely love that. And I would go and do a couple more masters just for the sake of it. And I would do this, Abby. I would podcast with you.
I didn't say that part, did I? Oops.
You didn't. That's what I was fishing for, and you failed. You were such a letdown.
Gosh, oh no, she's going to drop me from the podcast, everyone.
I'm going to get rid of her.
She's like, right, looking for a new co-host. No, I think that also though, like final thoughts and something like to consider, and also anyone that's listening who are also maybe answering that question themselves at home. Think about what it is that you would do if you didn't have to work, but you had the money, or you didn't need to worry about that. What would you do? Because that gives you a very good insight into what your dreams and your goals are. But what we should maybe take away from that is, if those are the goals and dreams that we had, and we would do that if we had the ability to do it, what is stopping us from still doing those things? Is it just because we need to earn money? If so, is there a way to incorporate that into something, one of those goals or one of those dreams? Is there a way to build money at the same time from it? I don't know. It's just something to consider. Some of these things that we say, like I hear some of the things that I've talked about like traveling and stuff, and I can still do that. I'm earning money. I can still do that. It's just for some reason I put a barrier on things because I know that I only have a limited amount of time that I can take for annual leave. And so it kind of restricts me from doing too much traveling. But ultimately, if those are our goals and that gives insight into what it is that we truly want, we should still try as hard as we can to go and achieve them, even if it does mean we have to work a 9 to 5 job to keep it going.
Or everybody, you can do us a big favour and support both of our dreams of quitting our jobs and podcasting full time so we can spend all the time together, do all the travelling, have great lives. And you can support us by following us on Spotify, sharing our podcast with your loved ones and people that you think might enjoy it. And we will give you nothing in return.
You get pure entertainment and the odd statistic.
There you go. Yes.
No, Hayley's right though. If you genuinely do enjoy the podcast, at the moment you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, then please do give us a follow and maybe give us a rating as well, because it will really help us out a lot. If you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, give us a subscribe, click that little alarm bell so you get a notification whenever we upload. And just keep your eye out for us. We might move on to different platforms, not too sure yet, but for now, that's the best way that you can support us. And please do send things our way. If you have a topic that you want us to talk about or you have a question for us, just pop us a message. We are super duper lovely people. I know sometimes we don't seem like it, but we're super duper lovely. We will happily answer any questions. So feel free to get involved in our little chat community.